RockfieldWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Monday morning, September the 15th, right in the middle of the month of September. Supposed to be very active from a tropical storm point of view this time of the year, the climatological peak right around now. We do have a strong tropical wave over the central part of the Atlantic Ocean, a very good chance for that system to become a named tropical storm, Gabrielle, in this particular case. We also have an interesting low pressure system now strengthening off the Carolina coastline. It is not a named tropical system, but nonetheless it is going to have an impact on the Carolinas, specifically North Carolina and also Virginia, with a lot of rainfall over the next couple of days and some strong wind gusts, potentially up to 40 or 50 miles per hour or so. Some of that rainfall looks like it'll extend to the north later tomorrow into the day on Wednesday across much of the Mid-Atlantic region, especially those areas along I-95 and south and east of I-95, and certainly any rainfall in the Mid-Atlantic region will be beneficial. Here's a look at the current infrared satellite imagery loop, and quite a development here of some convective activity just off the Carolina coastline. And this is the center of that low pressure area. Will actually intensify over the next 12 or 24 hours or so, and initially spread some very impressive rainfall across North Carolina and into the southern part of Virginia. And then it tends to weaken, but some of its moisture field will ride to the north into the Mid-Atlantic region. Again, primarily affecting places from I-95 south and east. Probably the most likely area for the heaviest rainfall and the strongest winds from the system will be across southeastern Virginia, the southern half of the Delmarva Peninsula, into southern New Jersey. Again, this is over the next 24 to 48 hours or so. Well, here's a look at the tropical activity across the Atlantic Basin. Again, right around the climatological peak here for the Atlantic Basin. This tropical wave quite likely to become the next named tropical storm, which would be Gabrielle. It will head on a general west-northwest track over the next several days. Odds favoring curving away from the East Coast before ever reaching the U.S. East Coast. It will certainly be something to monitor over the next several days. This is not a guarantee yet, but again, odds favoring curving away from the East Coast, which has been largely the pattern this particular season. But again, it looks like we'll have our next named tropical storm in the near term, likely over the next couple of days or so, and that again would be Gabrielle. We haven't had a named tropical storm in several weeks here, but this one has a very good chance of becoming Gabrielle. Well, let's take a look at last night's 0Z run of the GFS. Kind of an interesting weather pattern, one that could feature a very strong trough of low pressure by the end of the month out across the western states, and a strong ridge of high pressure across the eastern states or the southeastern part of Canada by the end of the month of September. We're starting off here by looking at the 850 millibar temperature anomaly maps. Again, cooler than normal conditions along the eastern seaboard and much of the western states. Also cooler than normal, but much warmer than normal out across the northern plains, the upper Midwest, and especially across the southern part of Canada. Now, let's kind of quickly walk through this. You can kind of see circulation pattern right around here. That's associated with that coastal low just off the Carolina coastline right now. Again, not a named tropical system, but it certainly has some tropical characteristics and will spread some heavy rainfall and strong winds across North Carolina and Virginia. And some of that rain will extend to the north by Wednesday out across much of the Mid-Atlantic region. Still warmer than normal on Tuesday across the northern plains, and we'll continue to kind of push through this quickly. Some areas of cooler than normal conditions, others warmer than normal, kind of a mixed pattern here by the latter part of the week. And then we see a cool air mass dropping southeast from Canada into New England by end of the work week here, and we'll push forward into the upcoming weekend, and largely above normal across the middle part of the nation, cooler than normal across the west coast and portions of the east coast. Kind of a similar pattern to what we've been experiencing in recent days, with coastal areas below normal temperature-wise and some of the middle part of the nation above normal. Now, we're now getting into the third week of September, largely above normal across the heartland here, and we'll go towards the latter part of next week. This is now all the way out to Wednesday of next week, September 24th. At this particular time, you get much above normal temperatures here at the 850 millibar level out across the central and northern plains, building strong upper level ridge at this time in the middle of the nation. Then we notice a pattern we've had a lot during the summer season, and that's cooler than normal air moving off the eastern Pacific Ocean into the western states, California, Washington, Oregon. Now, this is at the end of next week, Friday the 26th, and this is when it becomes pretty interesting, with way below normal temperatures out across the western states. That certainly could result in some early season snowfall in places like the Sierra Nevada mountains of eastern California, way above normal conditions here from the Rocky Mountains all the way to the east across the Great Lakes into the northeast U.S. This is all the way out now towards the end of September, with, again, big difference from the western states where it's well below normal to the central and much of the Great Lakes northeast where it's well above normal by the end of the month of September. Now let's take a look at the 500 millibar height anomaly forecast maps. We have a little low pressure area in the upper part of the atmosphere right along the southeast U.S. coastline. Again, that's spawning that storm system off the Carolina coastline at the surface level. It is intensifying today, will continue to intensify over the next 12 to 24 hours or so. We saw that infrared satellite imagery move quite a healthy area of convection just to the east of the Outer Banks here. Now, we'll move forward through the next few days, and that system slowly moves to the north, and then it weakens. It pulls out to sea here by the latter part of the work week. By Thursday, probably a mostly dry day in the Mid-Atlantic region. There will be some beneficial shower activity, maybe an embedded thunderstorm or two in places like D.C., Philadelphia, New York City, from later tomorrow into the day on Wednesday. Again, the area with the most impact by this system will be across North Carolina and southeastern Virginia, the southern half of the Delmarva, into southern New Jersey. Then we'll kind of quickly go through the late week into the upcoming weekend. This is Saturday forecast map. Again, we're looking at 500 millibar height anomalies. Not all that significant in terms of the strength of the highs and lows by this time next week. This is next Monday, but then we get out to the latter part of next week and really start to see this intensification of that ridge out across the middle of the nation, and a deepening trough here developing over the eastern Pacific Ocean. Here we are now all the way out to the end of next week. Strong high pressure ridging over the southeastern part of Canada, and yes, a very deep upper level low dropping to the south and east. This is all the way out now to Saturday, September 27th. If this were to hold true, this could certainly result in some early season snowfall out across those higher elevations in places like the Sierra Nevada mountain range of eastern California by the end of the month. And it would be well above normal temperature-wise across the southeastern part of Canada, the Great Lakes, and into the northeast U.S. Whereas the next several days, perhaps, and maybe into next week, kind of weak pattern at 500 millibars. The week following, the latter part of September, looks like we'll have some very strong upper level systems, both highs and lows, by the latter part of September. Well, here are the surface forecast maps from the 0Z GFS. First of all, some of the players on the field. There's strong high pressure at the surface over the southeastern part of Canada. That by itself could produce some significant onshore flow over the next 48 hours or so. But you combine that with an intensifying low pressure area now just sitting off the Carolina coastline, and you will indeed have perhaps 40, 50 mile per hour wind gusts out of the east to northeast, places like eastern North Carolina, southeastern Virginia, the Delmarva Peninsula, and potentially even into the southern tip area of New Jersey here with those strong winds and the heaviest rainfall. Again, areas to the south and east of the I-95 corridor region, Delmarva, southern New Jersey here. Now let's go forward over the next couple of days. Indeed, it produces some heavy rainfall over the eastern half of North Carolina into the southern part of Virginia. And this, again, the isobar pattern is really tightening up here between this intensifying low and the very strong high right here. And you will have a strong northeast flow. Expect 50-mile-per-hour wind gusts along coastal sections here out of this system. Again, not a named tropical system, but it has some tropical characteristics to it. This is into the early morning hours on Tuesday, tomorrow morning. Again, quite an impact here across this part of the southern half of this middle Atlantic region down into North Carolina with a high to the north and a decent low right at the coastline. Then it tends to spin around and kind of pushes to the north with respect to its moisture field. That will bring some shower activity into the Middle Atlantic region from later tomorrow into tomorrow night, into the day on Wednesday. It won't be as heavy as what they'll experience across North Carolina and southern Virginia, but it will be a beneficial event here with some showers, again, from later tomorrow into the day on Wednesday. And again, the heaviest rainfall in the northern half of the Middle Atlantic region will be right along I-95 and points to the south and east. You get a decent amount to the north and west of I-95. Very little rainfall, if any, out of this particular system. It continues to weaken by the mid-week into the day on Thursday, and then pulls off to the north and east. Drying conditions will return back to the Middle Atlantic region, and then we go into the latter part of the week, into the upcoming weekend. The big player here will be yet another strong high-pressure system that kind of dives south and east from the Hudson Bay region of Canada into the northeastern states. This is all the way out to Sunday, so it looks like once this coastal low vanishes by Thursday or so out into the western part of the Atlantic Ocean, high pressure will resume control over the northeastern states from, let's say, Thursday right through the upcoming weekend. And there will be another kind of a frontal boundary zone out across the western part of the Atlantic Ocean, and we'll continue to monitor the progress of what is very likely to become Tropical Storm Gabrielle. Again, odds favor curving away from the U.S. East Coast down the road, but it's certainly close enough they'll have to monitor that situation. That's still several days out. But for the latter part of the weekend, strong high pressure in control over the northeastern states and also over the Rocky Mountain states. That's it for now. For ArcFieldWeather.com, this has been meteorologist Paul Dorian.